Oh, there you are. What happened?
Oh, I just, get all the way to the office, realize I forget my laptop.
Oh, okay.
One
Well,
of those
that's
things.
fine. We can deal with this. All right, give me one more second.
So I'm walking around the parking lot outside.
Anything good out there?
Uh, Somebody trashed your car. Looks good. When do I get an Ocean City car?
Whenever you're ready. I mean, let me know. I think a couple
Yeah.
a couple of people have decals already. All right,
Yeah, my
so all right, cool. So we're good to go. So I want to jump in. First off, thanks Kathleen for jumping on. I know you've never been on one of these before,
No.
so we want to
Hey,
talk
but
about.
I've been on TV before, so I'm okay.
You've been on TV. What type of TV have you been on?
Remember Liz Walker on Channel 5?
Yeah, yeah.
The news. Yeah, in my coaching practice, they interviewed me about the whole what I do and my mediation, and I did a friends of hers divorce and blah, blah, blah. So they interviewed that and my teaching at the gym and how it all comes together. Yeah.
So essentially, this is like a small time. Right now.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. All right. Well, I'll try to make it as professional as that if I can. So you almost had a deal that ended up getting foreclosed on, right? So
Yes.
we don't always want to hit on good things. Let's start out with something bad.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about the deal there in Canton that ended up falling apart.
Okay, so Canton, even though it fell apart, there's a whole lot of things to take from it, I think, for other people as well. And that it was a 1.5-year project. I got the lead when I first started with you, a couple months, like in 2016. And They were elderly couple. I knew there was something not quite right with her all the time, even though I met her once. He would take charge. So needless to say, we offered him a decent amount. They wanted to take it. But the problem was the disconnect all of the time. It would be, this was before even foreclosure came into play. Then they would disappear for a couple of months. They would come back. I would keep in touch with them. Long story short, when they finally did sign, it was probably a week before foreclosure was due. Mm-hmm. And the bank went ahead and foreclosed, even though we had a P&S. But the good side of it.
Let's say it was exactly a 1.5 years ago, last summer.
Yeah.
Were they in default at that point?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so because throughout the course of this process, I had no idea that they were potentially even behind on their mortgage.
Yes. Yes.
So when you went out there originally, say, a 1.5 years ago, last summer,
right?
They verbally accepted, but they didn't sign anything, right?
Exactly.
And what do you think the reason that they never signed anything, even though that they verbally agreed that it makes sense to sell to Ocean City?
Well, first they wanted to check with others, which they might have checked with one more. And they did that. And I said, absolutely, just get back to me. And, I believe we'll beat anybody's offer and things like that. And I made a real connection with them. And then I think because she was unable to make a decision, I don't want to diagnose it, but I think she was maybe the beginning of a little bit of dementia type of thing. Mm-hmm. And she wanted to move back to Germany. She was reluctant to leave that house. It was a feeling of where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. So at that time, they weren't in foreclosure. They're going to make about $100,000 on it, that type of thing. Yeah. So, and then, Then they would disappear for months. I would send them, if it was a holiday, I'd still send a card. I would still send my calendar. I would call. He would always call me up and thank me for being in touch with him and being patient. Then they'd say, yep, we're almost there. Then he would call back, disappear for a couple of months, come back again and say, all right, I think we're ready. We would set something up. He would disappear again. It was just part of the process of whatever was going on for her, and his hands were tied because it was in her name only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that kind of got off my radar a little bit. And then all of a sudden, what was it, maybe 2 months ago that you said that you think you can get them, they're back on board, they want to sell,
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
Yeah, he called me up and then he said, well, the market's gone up. I think we can get 7 or 8% more. I went back to you. We gave them another 5,000 and they said, good. Yeah.
So another 5,000 was maybe 2%, 3%, something like that.
Right.
So they were happy with that. We increased the price. Did they mention at any point that they were facing foreclosure?
Yes, that's when they started to mention it. And I said, I don't know if you remember that, but I had that Franklin deal with you guys as well that ended up, we saved it from foreclosure. I never even met them, got them 40,000 in their pocket, the whole thing. So I said, and I did foreclosures with the real estate company before this, so I had good experience. And I said, Arthur, it's getting really tight here. You cannot trust the bank that they give you a November 16th date, that they're going to wait, they're going to do whatever. I would need power of attorney. I've been given before, permission that I could talk to them to do whatever. We couldn't get her to agree on anything. She wouldn't come into play. She just wouldn't do anything. And then the day that he called and said, we're going to sign today, I went down there and I was on my way there. And he said, no, we have a wedding in New Hampshire for the weekend. We're leaving. So I said, oh boy, here it goes again. Needless to say, I worked through that. A couple days later, I said, we still got another 2 weeks left or whatever it is. And I said, Arthur, it's getting close. It's getting close. He knew. I finally did go down there. She was in the bathroom and wouldn't come out. Yep. She's screaming at him. And I said, I pegged this right. There is something not right here. There is, whatever it was. So I had to leave. He said, you mind leaving? I'll get her out of the bathroom. We'll sign the papers. Well, that come back. An hour and a half goes by. I'm killing time. I go back and I have the papers. They're finally signed. So I get a hold of the bank best I can. I know they're not allowed to give me information, but I'm pretty good about weeding my way through. I got a lady who says, you definitely know what you're talking about, blah, 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 and all this. Needless to say, that he called me a couple days after that and said, the bank called and said they foreclosed. And they already sold it to a third party. And it was my biggest fear because now they are left without making $100,000, no money. She's suicidal. When I spoke to him, just a big mess. And even though I didn't want to yell at him because he is older, I knew he was heartbroken. His hands were tied. And that was the first time ever she wasn't near him when he said, Kathleen, you've been right all along. When you're dealing with someone, whether it's dementia or Alzheimer, my hands were tied. It was the first time he was able to even speak and say anything. But that's why I get leery of those. But you know what? I also had the good one in Franklin where I saved it and those people went on and they were able to buy a vehicle and they were able to do things they never thought. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the fact that staying on something and showing them that you're consistent, it paid off in that way. My hands were tied at that point. We did everything right, but we were dealing with a different circumstance.
So I think one of the things that happens, and I've had this happen to me a couple times, is that sometimes sellers don't think that the bank is going to actually take the property or they think they have a lot more time than they really do. So for anybody that's on the call that someone's facing foreclosure or pre-foreclosure, a lot of times a seller will say, well, I'll get automatically 5 extensions from the bank on the date of the sale, or they'll think things that someone will tell them. And the reality is that, sometimes you can get the auction, held off, but sometimes you can't. So something they may have heard from, even an attorney or a friend or a family member or just read online doesn't always necessarily, it isn't always necessarily the case. So in this case, some people will say, well, why would anybody sell to an investor? In this case, they would have made $100,000 by selling to an investor, right? And there was no traditional, retail buyer who would have done anything near what we would have done because they never would have pushed. And we came pretty close to, helping them save their property and ultimately save the money. But definitely, I think it's kind of a learning thing for anybody that does have somebody that's facing foreclosure, that it really does happen and they can really lose the house and they can really lose all of that equity. So
had they been not, I don't want to pick on age, but in other words, had they not had the issue, someone else probably would have been able to fight it. They would have been able to work with me a little bit more on the bank and that type of thing. But again, hands were tied. We almost had it.
Now, do you know what's going on with them now? Have you spoken
No,
to them?
you know what? I put in a call to him. She originally said she was going to hire a lawyer. And I thought, oh, I wish she was capable. I did get a hold of Don and asked if there was anything. Because it was already sold to a third party, it was pretty tough. He was going to try to find out. Someone had already been to his house and left him some papers. Yeah. And I said, if you could just get back to me and let me know, because we really do have an active P&S. And I have a buyer out there sitting there wanting that property saying, wait a minute, what happened? They don't know the ins and outs of all exactly who. And I said, so rightfully so. And I did talk to the bank after that. They apologized. They said, I know it happens like this. If it were just even one day sooner. And I really laid into them. I said, you had my number, you had my email, you had everything. And I really begged of you, please get in touch if there's anything any different. Please do that because whatever. And again, they got me the supervisor. I asked for the top shelf. At first she said, I'm as high as you go. I said, you're not. And they finally did get someone to call me back. And she said, I understand. Again, I can see you know what you're talking about. You could try to file some legal action. But I was working with these two. If they were capable of that, we wouldn't be where we are now. So, so I don't know exactly where it is. I put in 3 phone calls in the last, let's say 10 days. It's been waiting to hear back. And I'm sure I'm going to hear from them one day. But you're not going to get them out that easily based on her situation either.
No, I know. It's really like a case where it's actually the worst situation for pretty much all the parties involved. So, all right. So that was one that we lost. That was a negative one. Right. Let's talk about the one that we signed. Because when I asked you to come on and talk about the Carver one, you were gung ho to come on, and then it fell apart, and then
right. Well, wait a minute. No, Carver went through. Carver was my short sale.
Oh yeah. I mean,
that Carver went through. And Franklin went through.
Talking about here? I'm getting
Norfolk is the one we got going.
Yeah. I'm confused because anything south of like Quincy is out of my purview. So, all right, let's talk about the one that you did get signed. That was in Norfolk, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So you went out on the appointment how long ago?
Let's see. Well, we didn't actually end up with the appointment at first. It was July. I was given the Cameron lead in July. I called up. They were very nice, very with it couple. That's what's really good, dealing with people who are really, they know the value of their property, everything like that. So then I called her. We had the appointment set up actually. Then she said, my husband said, let's wait. Our daughter's getting married in September. And, it's just a bad time for all this to be going on. So I said, no problem. I totally understand. She was impressed that I called her 2 weeks after, like I said I would. I said, let me call you a couple weeks after the wedding. And that's when it began. And she was impressed with that. The only little glitch we had, it's up by Foxborough by the stadium, fabulous location. It borders on Norfolk, Walpole, Foxborough. It's about 4 miles from where Gronk lives, to give you an idea of its prime location. I was having my car fixed and they were running late. And I never booked anything like that. I went, oh God. So I just called her and said, I might be about a half hour late. Is that okay with you, or do you need to reschedule? She goes, this sounds a little shady. And she started like a little bit. And she said, a little shady. She goes, I'm not even sure about your company. This isn't a run-of-the-mill house. This is really worth a lot. And I saw that, again, like I told you, tomorrow I could just put it on the market for $575 and it will get multiple offers. And that would be on the cheap side of it. Yeah. So I said, hold on. I swear I'm going to be down there. I'm like 5 miles from you. Just give me that. My husband took off work or whatever. So then I called her back. I'm like 50. I said, give me a car. I got to get somewhere. So they gave me a car. And I said, I got to make this appointment. So Lita said, I came down. She goes, let me apologize.
Who gave you a car?
Rental car where I was. And they said, just go and use it. And I said, you don't understand. Give me a car now. I got to go to this appointment. Then they never charged me, did anything. And I said, you don't understand. We can lose thousands of dollars. So what was good about that is the guy said, oh, you do real estate. So I gave him my card. Anyway, so then I said, yeah, it's a real important appointment. I'm like 5 miles away from here. And so I went down. I saw the house. She did let me know ahead, though, on that phone call when I said we might be late. She says, I have 3 agents or friends. very close friends. If I'm going to use anybody, so I don't want one of these deals where you're going to tell me, you're going to give me $300,000 and all that. I said, that's not a problem. I'm glad you were friends who are agents. We'll talk about that later. So I get there. Then she apologized after meeting me and talking to me and showing me the house. I said, let me just ask you this. What's your ideal situation here? I understand that it's a beautiful property. I understand its value. I know all that. What can I do for you? What do you need? And she said, well, we have a place that we can go. They didn't want to disclose where or what, but they weren't looking for me to help them get into another place. But we would consider a good cash offer. And I said, okay, that's interesting. Give me an idea what you're talking about, because, I also talked about the fact of, I know that since you have friends who are agents, I'm sure they've already advised you, you can put it on the market for this, that, and the other thing. And then long story short, she shows me the house and I said, give me a ballpark. Just tell me. I said, I got many investors, not just one, not just two. You tell me what you're looking for and I'll work really hard to get back to you in 24 hours and I'll see what I can do for you. Mm-hmm. So then they did disclose to me, you know what? If I could get, I think it was around the 450 range or whatever it was at that time. And she said, maybe it was higher. That's right, too. It was higher at that time. And I said, okay. I said, then I've got something to work with. So the appointment goes really well. Again, they apologized and said, we can understand, your stuff and all of that. So I came back with them. In the meantime, she said the next day, when I called back after discussing it with you, I called her back and she said, you know what, I'm going to say this to you. I gave it a lot of thought. I have 3 friends who are agents, but to try to pick one of them, there'd be problems there to begin with. And she said, number 2, I just like your style. I like the way you're upfront, you're honest. You did your best to get here. She said, if I can't get that offer, I will use you to put it on the market. I said, oh, great. So that goes to show one thing, that no matter what somebody tells you, unless it's maybe their spouse, and it might be different, they're an agent, is that you never know where that's going to land. In other words, maybe there is something about it. And I didn't even give my speech about be very careful about using friends and different people, because if it doesn't go, a certain way, that can cause a lot. And I said, number 1, I work for you. You can tell me what you want. I'm working for you. So that's the difference. With a friend, there's a lot that goes on.
Yeah, I think it's very common that a seller will kind of warn us up front about all the reasons why they won't work with us. I mean, the already knowing an agent thing happens, but the other one that we always hear all the time is, you're not going to come out and lowball me, are you? And then you go out there and you make an investment offer, and then they take the investment offer.
Right.
So really, some people get crazy about qualifying the appointments. And I've seen so many times where somebody has overqualified an appointment and then they end up losing a deal that they could have gotten. Like, I've seen people that have overqualified the appointment and then they sell to a competitor of mine for the price I would have paid. Or they'll overqualify it, say that, they know another real estate agent, and then it's a deal like the one you just went out with that you could have got.
Right.
So this house was not a typical investment deal.
Absolutely not. So it is a little shocking. Yeah, absolutely not.
So
but their circumstance, remember I said, my job is really to, to analyze someone's situation and see what I can do for them. So I never tell the offer up front. It has nothing to do with it right away, because I don't know what their situation is. Till you figure out what is his situation, how can I customize something? It could maybe not be a offer. It could end up a short sale. It could end up many different things. First, I feel like my job is, even though I'm great at talking, as you can see, is listening. Because they love to talk about where they're going, what they're doing, what the story is. So how can I even give them an offer unless I know? The offer may truly, it doesn't matter the number, it may not even fit their situation. It might be better that they're not waiting 3 months. Maybe they are near a short sale, or maybe they're entering foreclosure but didn't want to tell you that yet. So I say, listen, let them speak. And then I think if I'm unsure what to do, I'll say, how about I get back to you in 24 hours? Whatever it might be based on the situation. This one was very unique because they know they could easily go and put it on the market and get 100,000 more. My guess is they've got something going. They want that cash. They can get in to a good deal in a short amount of time. and it's perfect for them. They're okay. They're okay. The most that the place needed was like doing all new windows or whatever it was. But
what
whatever,
would you say on a scale of 1 to 10, what was the condition of this property?
7 to 8.
Yeah. I mean, when I looked at the pictures, I mean, I don't even know. I mean, the windows you could do. I don't even know that you need to do them. I mean,
yeah, when you go to put it back on the market, I don't even think, let me work the open house, by the way. When you go to put it on the market, you just put it as is. It's going to be based on what you feel, you really need. But I think, I don't have it in front of me, but I think there was a lot of things that were new, the heating and all the important stuff.
That's my biggest thing on this one is like, do I even barely put any money into it? I think I'm going to really just clean it up and make it look nice. But this deal almost fell apart too. So
yeah.
So all right, all right, let's go through the numbers here. The original offer was what roughly?
I think 4 or something we were going to offer them, maybe.
Okay, and then you showed me the pictures. You said this. You sent me an email. You basically said, "Hey, this property's worth a lot more. You're going to want to come up. Not sure by how much." And then I think I went back and forth. I said, "What would it sell for on the MLS?"
Yes.
In the condition, because that's a huge thing for a lot of these properties. Is like when it's in a really good condition, some of them you can just clean up, not do too much to, and then automatically resell it for a profit.
Right.
So that was my thing with this one. When I looked at the pictures, I said, what would this one sell for? And so what did you think it would sell for if we just cleaned it up and maybe painted and just did minor?
575.
And what did we put in under agreement for?
465 with a passing Title V. That was where we ran into a few things. We will have the Title V this week in our hands, which was really, we offered 450. We went up to 465. Then we found out they were doing the Title V, and it was a fail with a condition, and it was like 1,500 for the D box or whatever. So we moved it back to the 465 with the title in our hand. They would have liked to gone as high as 470, but I managed to get that 465 because the guy said you could fix it for between 15 and 18. And that was at that time. Then we found out it was only a D box or whatever. And so we'll have a Title V on our hand and get it for 465.
Yeah. So the septic thing is huge because the septic thing, it can really vary so much. So in our standard purchase and sale agreement, we have an automatic $20,000 reduction if the septic fails. Septic can cost anywhere from $2,000 to fix to $45,000 to fix. In this case, so what did you say it ended up getting $1,500 to get it to pass?
Yeah, that's all it's going to cost them in the end. And they were happy because I said, I know that we have an estimate, but we never know who does the estimates.
That was the problem. So I sent that to my partner and I said, here's the estimate. And he said, well, what is it worth to me? I mean, who knows? Exactly.
So then in that chain of just about ready to sign the P&S, and they were very with the people. Remember, their lawyer got in touch with Don. They worked out the P&S. They made sure all their, I's were dotted, which was good. That's what we want. It was an upfront offer. I feel like it's going to go very far in her referring about a investment company because everybody's always like, you're going to lowball me and all this. And here's a very successful couple. They're still both in business. I think they're in their 50s. And they know what they're talking about. They have a lawyer who got, again, in touch with our lawyer. They made sure everything's fine. We agreed with everything. We're like, absolutely, we had nothing to hide, and here's a deal. And it's going to be, hopefully, knock on wood, everything, a deal for you as well as it's a deal for them. So it goes to show those high-end homes, you just don't know what a person's situation is. Find that out first, then see what you can do for them.
Yeah, we'll do about like 10 of those a year. Out of the 100 that we do, we might do 10 that fit into that box. And it's obviously a smaller percentage, but it would have been very easy for you to go out there and just say, push the listing. And you probably would have had more difficulty going down that road. Right. So in this one, I mean, what do you think was the motivating factor to take an investor offer for them? Was there anything that you think was the overriding thing?
Well, I think we met them with a good amount, and I think it was a trust factor. They really had to trust. They would ask everything. Let's say I said to them, well, I'll give you $100 check, just to hold it when we sign it. Like, whoa, They were like $100. We've got like almost $500,000 home here. So they questioned everything. But when they found out it really was, everything was on the up and up. And every time they called me, I answered every phone call after she said things seem shady. I made sure I had an answer to. I said, you know what? That's a good question. I don't know the answer. And I'm a firm believer in saying that, but I'll get right back to you. And then I checked with you, or I checked with Tom, or whatever. But can we make a bigger down payment on it? Absolutely. Can we close? Right now, they might be looking to close sooner, by the way. But I told them, get the Title V in the hand, and then I'll go back to the investors and I'll ask, if it can go sooner. And
what are they thinking on the time frame? Do you know?
Maybe the end of January now.
Yeah. As long as we have like 30 days notice, we should be fine on that one.
Yeah. But I told her,
once it happens though, just let us know so that we can.
Right. The good thing is that whatever they've asked over and over, I did like the fact, even the experience for myself, that, do we put that deposit? Will we do it this way? Can we change the P&S as long as both lawyers agree? Absolutely. So you learned, ask, and you can find out what's doable or not. And I think the factor was them that they trusted, and that everything came into play, and the lawyer approved it, and everything's lived up to not what I promised, what I suggested to them, and let's see if it's possible. And I think that's key, whether I was listing it for them or in this situation, them taking the money is better for them than having it listed and maybe waiting months and months. Because I got a feeling whatever they're doing, that was the time frame. What if it did take 6 months to sell? What if it didn't sell, or different things? They're smart enough to know that that's a possibility. Anything could happen. You could have a buyer come in, 2 buyers come in, the deals fall apart. Now they wasted another 4, 6, 8 months.
We have it happen all the time on the properties that we flip, and the properties we flip, most of them are in perfect condition. Buyers get cold feet, and you don't know why. I mean, it can be for 100 different reasons. They might get scared about buying a house, and they may decide they want to rent. They may lose their job. Rates could go up and they lose their rate lock. It can be 100 different reasons why they end up backing out of the house. So we carry properties, and this is just random. I mean, some properties we buy, we renovate, and we only hold them for 90 days. But some of them will hold for 8 months. Obviously, the ones that we hold for 8 months, we make a lot less. Sometimes we lose money. But for a traditional seller, that is very possible. And people will say, well, properties are selling so fast right now. They're going under contract really fast. It doesn't mean that they actually sell really fast, because actually what's happening right now in this market is that buyers, because they're so scared to lose a property, they're making offers on a lot of stuff that they're not 100% committed to. And they're kind of tying up the deals, using it as an option. And a lot of times they're backing out. They're actually backing out more now than they were 2 or 3 years ago, because 2 or 3 years ago, they would actually have time to do their due diligence before putting in an offer. Now it's like they put in an offer, even if they think they might like the property, because they have to. There's no really other option. So we've had more backouts for reasons that have nothing to do with the property. Well, they have to do with the property. The person doesn't want to move in that house, but it doesn't have to do with inspection items or anything like that. They just back out because they realized it really wasn't the house that they wanted. Right. So what else do you have cooking? Anything good?
No, I'm still trying to work on that Randolph one for you.
Yeah.
The Randolph number. What I'm trying to do is play with him, because I know he has other investors, but but I'm trying to play a little bit. It's the wife who doesn't speak any kind of English or anything. And he wants to go do the missionary work and take the 4 kids and go. And that was another one. We said, get me $250 and I'll sign. I did get him the $250, and I go to the house and it's like, no, I said $290. I'm like, I didn't say, not $290. So we moved it up to the $265, and I think I can get him. I mean, I'm trying to see if any other investors are interested, because it is, it's such a good area, Randolph. It really is. And knowing Randolph as well as I do, it is such a good area. And, but yeah, does it need work? It needs a cleanup. He definitely cannot list it, because he couldn't get his act together to fix the place. He just, to even list it, because he said, I'll let you list it. And I said, all right, let's go. Let's put it on for 310. I guarantee you it's going to sell for 310, just the way it is. But, I know the wife or whatever it is. So either way, I'm still trying to hit him. Would you go for an extra 5 even? I don't tell him I have it yet. I'm just saying,
Yeah, that's one thing. Like Eric, when you were out in that appointment yesterday or the day before, 2 days ago, I mean, you always wanted, like, again, the way Kathleen phrased it is perfect. Like, you know, if we gave you another 5, would that get you to sign today? Just to see. I mean, again, you can go back to me and then I can say no, or I could say yes. Let's get it done.
Right.
Just trying to figure out, like what it will take to get them to close on the deal.
Right. And I never say the word, I've got it for you. What I say is, I may be able to work this guy, but I can tell you now, I got to sign in 24 hours. It might be as soon as 30 days where he wants to leave in January. I just want to see if that's possible. But I've gotten much better at saying, but I need to get that signed. I need to, kind of like I did with the Canton deal, even though they were different. But I say, but I got to get it signed. This guy doesn't wait around. If you're not going to use his money, he's going to offer it to somebody else. That's it. These guys don't play around. I mean, they might have 5 million they're working with and they use it up in one day. I can't freeze up 270,000 for you if you're going to play with it. That's loss of money on interest on 270 for this guy. So they get that part. And I go, so I need to know. It's on the table now. And I can't guarantee tomorrow. And that's how I do it. So I texted him this morning with that idea. And I went, I'm not sure, but I think I might have someone in line that would go for 270. You think you could, work with that, work on her and let me know.
Yeah.
He wrote back and said, okay. So now I wait to hear.
Cool.
So, yeah.
All right. I'm going to bring some of the other people on. Do you have any parting last words?
No, just, you know what? Just don't give up. I think that over and over, I've gotten many deals and many times where I put it in perspective and I say it like my double deal. It still is my haunting one that fell apart in September and October. And I said, so what are you going to do, Kathleen? Give up? No, you're going to move on the next one, have enough deals in line so that doesn't concern you as much. It stings, but then there's a lot more up front. In 2018, for me, I'm surrendering a few things that I've been doing so I can put more into it. And I realize that that's the big thing. I realize I have the skills, but unless I'm out there enough, it's not going to happen. So I just say you got to don't look back unless that's where you want to stay. You always got to look forward in the front view mirror, not the rear view mirror. So that's how I look at it.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you for hopping on today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Barbara, I'm muting you. You got a deal.
I did get a deal.
You got 2 deals. You got an investment deal. You got a listing. Was there anything else this week?
Did I get a listing this week?
Was the Malden one this week or last week?
Well, it was last week because I had the open house on Sunday. But you know what? Who called back this week that is should be a listing. Remember the guy? I was like, he not only said yes, but was I'm excited. My brother's excited. All of that.
That was Lynn, right?
It was in Peabody.
Peabody.
A couple of weeks ago. Like he was 100% on board, and I was saying, like, even then, like at this time, he was so committed to me, and then vanished. So to the point where I was like, he must have had a heart attack or something.
Yep.
That's what actually happened. He was in the hospital. We didn't have a heart attack, but he was in the hospital, chest pains. He messaged me like 2 days ago.
Yeah, that was the one. So his brother wasn't local, right? He lived in Maine.
His brother was in Maine. Actually, he's up there hunting. They both live locally, but he was in Maine hunting till after Thanksgiving or something like that. And it's an in-law, and the aunt lives there, and it was the parents' house, and just the nicest guy and a nice family. So I was just glad that to hear from him, not only for the listing, but because something like that, you think, Jesus, do I know people at all? I mean, part of this is being able to read people, and I was sure I had a read on that guy, and then it was so off the wall. So, I did have a read on him. He actually had a medical issue, and that's why he vanished.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons people vanish, and so this is the second one because you had somebody that vanished last week too, right? That also had medical issue.
Right, and I have that in PNS now under power of attorney with the daughter. And I was thinking about that with Kathleen. Like, it's unfortunate that they couldn't get, why the husband couldn't get a power of attorney on his wife in that situation. That closed. I mean, I would have tried to make that happen.
Yeah, I don't know if that was even a possibility because I think Kathleen was really only even speculating that there may have been an issue there. I don't know that was even like 100% confirmed. Right. So how did the Malden open house go? Was it packed or slow or?
It was not packed, but it was very busy, and I have multiple offers, and we'll be accepting one today. I'm just there's going to be like a 50% down payment, so I asked for the proof of funds before they accept the offer, because if somebody's putting $300K down, I want to see that they have that money. Never mind the pre-approval.
Yeah.
So
So
when I asked for that, they said, it's they're going to get a letter from the 1031 exchange, whoever's handling that. So once I even saw that, obviously they have the money if it's a 1031. So
nice.
So that'll go on the contract at I shouldn't say the price, right?
Well, we talking over or under asking?
Over.
Way over, a little bit over?
Pretty good over. I put it on at 580.
Yeah, it was a nice house. I mean, that's the thing. And that's why, like, I was kind of going back and forth on it. Like, my gut told me that it was going to go over, like, kind of what the comps were saying because of the location, because of the condition. But this market's crazy. And then, like, the one that you got under contract in East Boston, it's the same deal. Like, that one,
It's definitely over.
It's definitely over, but, like, I don't even like what we're paying. And
well, that's what I mean. I mean, the paying is over. But what happened in Malden,
right? They're both.
I wasn't letting that guy get away.
They're both over. I mean, that's the thing, like, about the market that we're in right now. Like we could have made good money on the one in Malden. We're probably going to make good money on the one in East Boston, but in some of those cities, like, the prices have escalated so quickly that it's even hard to even get good comps on them. So I did take a look at some of those comps in East Boston, and I'm just like, I just can't believe it. Like that. So that street, we did a 3-family condo conversion on that street, and we paid $300,000 for a 3-family on that street a few years ago.
Right.
And now we're paying, mid sixes.
Probably only 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago? Yeah, I can't remember.
I mean, in general, Bennington, Saratoga, there were a bunch of stuff we bought over there.
I think the one that was on Morris, though, we might have bought 3 years ago. And the one that we bought on Morris 3 years ago, it was a lot smaller. So this one is definitely a better property for sure overall. But talk about kind of how this one went, because you locked this one down in person, right?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about kind of how that went.
Right. So I went to the property. It was yesterday morning. It must have gotten booked over the weekend because I had no CMA on it or anything. So I go out there.
Ryan was on vacation, so Ryan's back officially as of today. So I think that, like, a lot of the CMAs were behind, and so that was the problem.
So for whatever, but it was East Boston, so I wasn't concerned. I mean, I have a handle on East Boston, and I wasn't really worried about it. It was a standard 3. And so I went out there and went in the building. The guy was there. He was upstairs. The door was kind of open. I opened the door. He came to the top of the stairs. He was on the second floor. So I went up. He's an older gentleman. I mean, I look right away. I see this guy's in his 70s easily. And the second floor was vacant. And he was up there, like, cleaning it out. There were bags of trash. And he was obviously there were a couple of mattresses in the front room, that sort of thing. And he was working on the place. So I looked it over. It's a standard. So it's 2, 3, and 3, but with a walkthrough, for the front room.
Yep.
Standard East Boston layout. It's got the small bathroom. When you come in, the bathroom's on the left, and the bathrooms are very small. And it has the other. One floor had a door where you could go into the room over the stairs, and the one was closed off. I think the second floor was still had the door. You get in the hallway and they get doors into every room in those. So it was like that. The first thing I really noticed, other than it's vacant, he was cleaning it out right away. I knew this guy was all set with the house. He's in his 70s. The building is vacant. He said a couple of things that I don't remember exactly what, but that he clearly was not impressed with the tenants that had just moved out. You know, they didn't keep it nice, or they were just like, he didn't think they were good. And so I looked at it very briefly. We went downstairs to see the first floor unit where there's a tenant, but he's moving. So the tenant opens the door and, it's kind of a mess because I'm moving. So you know what this is like, right? It's kind of a mess because he's moving, but it's been a mess clearly for like 20 years.
Yep.
And this guy is also well in his 70s.
Tenant?
70s. And he lives there, I think, alone. And he's got, it's almost a hoarder situation. Just a ton of stuff. And he's telling the guy he's got the trucks coming and 90% of the stuff is going to be gone in 2 days and blah, blah. So he's moving out. We get out in the cellar. Can't even wiggle down there. So, and the landlord, now the owner at this point, is just like, I don't even know what all this stuff, where did this stuff come from? And it's just packed full of, he's owned this, and at some point when I was upstairs, he told me he's owned the house for 50 years. So you got 50 years worth of stuff, right? It's just everywhere. So, but the building, it's nice. It's one of the most level buildings I've ever been in. There's like no lean in the floor, even all the way up to the third floor stairs. They're not slanted, so I really liked that because it's more solid than most. So I spend some time, can't get away from the tenant. The downstairs tenant has so much to say, I can't get. So finally, I'm like, why don't we go back upstairs? But really, I just wanted to get away from that guy so I could talk to the owner because he was just very invested. So we go upstairs, and I went to the third floor just on the common area, see the skylight, whatever, see what that was like, and back to the second floor and start talking to him about price. So, like I said, I really could tell that he wanted out.
His ask, by the way, was $750. I don't know if you saw that.
It was $750 on his original ask. So it was $750, and also at this point in time, now I've discovered that there are no back decks, and there's really no egress from the back of the building at all. So that was kind of weird, like no fire egress at all. And I thought, this isn't good. So I kind of explained to him that he cannot sell that house in a traditional way. So they had taken off the back decks at some point. He came to tell me it was like 20, 30 years ago. So when you go out the back door of the first floor, this internal staircase, but the door has been removed, and there's just this little bitty window like the size of my computer screen. So I told him, I said, he couldn't sell it like it is to anybody with a regular mortgage, somebody that wanted to buy it and live there, because he did say to me, like, somebody could just buy it. Somebody will buy it and just clean it up and rent it. And I said, people do that, but you have no fire egress. Not only there are no decks, but there's no fire egress. There's no house panel. The smokes aren't hardwired. The house would not qualify for any kind of traditional mortgage unless he spent a fair amount of money to make it within code. So I explained that to him, that the house isn't really saleable in its regular sense. But that, investors, and I told him no investor is really going to buy that as a rental.
Right.
Because there's too much work to be put in. And I did tell him this is, I like the building because it was very solid, but that we would gut it completely. That's when he told me, it could be used for a rental. And I explained to him why it couldn't.
Well, even if it could be used for a rental, the person would lose money on day one at the price that he wanted. So right. I think like in any of the condo conversion markets right now, no one's, I don't want to say no one, because someone could go in there and someone could overpay and someone could lose money every month, but you can't go into an East Boston or a Somerville or a Medford right now and buy a multifamily and make money on the rents.
Not if you have to renovate the whole thing.
Even at that price, if you did nothing, you would lose money. The numbers are just too tight.
Right.
Even in some of the markets where they're not condo conversions right now, like Chelsea, it's tough to go in and make money on a rental. But yeah, right. So that, not to say that somebody won't go in there and overpay, but it's
absolutely, which was my concern.
Yeah,
because we know they will. Somebody will overpay. So he had his price, and I explained to him, the how we look at it, and I think I probably threw it out at like, okay, I'm going to be like 550, maybe, between 550 and 6. I just like threw that out to see if I get any reaction from him, because I knew in my mind, once I got there and I saw it and saw that it was really, the size and the structural condition, I knew it was I figured 6 would be the good price. So I said, I always like to start a little low. And so this conversation went on. He told me his sons wanted to buy it. Because I asked him, I must have asked him, are you ready to make a decision? Or I don't really remember the whole conversation, but he told me his son wanted to buy it. So, and then he threw the 750 number at me. And I just kind of laughed. I said, no. Basically, just no. It's not 750. And I went on to explain to him the renovation. I told him it's 3, and I kind of did the math, and I figured you're going to sell the condos, I don't know, 450. Worked it back from there. Figured I could get around, the real price is around 6, maybe 6 and a quarter. With 300 to 400,000 in renovation. And I told him it's $300,000 or $400,000 worth of renovation, where I said, I'm essentially buying the foundation and the framing. I like the location, but I'm really buying the foundation and the framing. I need all new wiring, plumbing, structure, floors ripped out, everything. So he understood that. I don't know what his trade was over his life, but he understood. He didn't give me any of that, like, like he has some idea you can renovate for $100,000 the whole building. So anyway, his sons wanted to buy it. He came back at me with a different price. Like I said, he wanted 750. I said no, 600. And he said, well, can I think about it? My sons are gonna buy it and renovate it. And at some point, we were kind of going back and forth, and he said to me 650, and I said, right now. And he essentially said yes, but then he still wanted to, but he said he needed a day.
Yep.
And I said no. I said, I can't, this is like the right now price. And I told him exactly what I said to him. I said, look, really it's 6. I said, I'm going to go out on a limb. I said, I will give you the 650 and I will take the heat from it later. I'm not even going to call the boss. I knew that this is like a high price and you were going to be not really thrilled, but I didn't want to let him get away. So that was kind of like my hook to him. I said, I will go up and I'll take the flack for it, but I need to know. And so he wanted the day, and I said no. I said, I'm not going to give you an offer and have 650, and then you need a day. You're going to talk to somebody else. They're going to tell you 660, and I'm out in the cold. I said, tomorrow the price will be 600. And then he kept talking about his sons. I said, well, call him right now. So, and he was like, well, he works nights, but he did. He called the son, got the answering machine, didn't get him. And we went back and forth.
The sons weren't owners, right? They were just people that he had to consult with.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not on the deed. It's just him. And he, but they was supposedly 2 of his sons want to buy it and renovate it. So I explained to him that, unless they have funding, you can't get a regular mortgage. Are they going to be able to get hard money? What kind of down payments do they have? Things like that. And so we hemmed and hawed, and then he said, well, I just need to talk to somebody. And like I said, that's when I had I'm not giving you the offer so you can use it against me. And then he wanted a couple of hours. He said, well, can I have a couple of hours? And I said no.
Yeah.
So he called his other son and got the second son on the phone, and I could hear the conversation. And he says, well, the lady is here, but she needs to know, like you gotta make a decision. And he told the son he was getting 650, and I heard the son say, oh, really? So I knew right there, because the son was surprised at the offer.
Thinking it was high?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
And
high.
it
They
is.
shouldn't.
It
It
is high.
shouldn't. It should not be even selling for. They're just lucky that they're selling at the right time right now.
Right. I
But
mean, if I thought I could have pulled him back to 6.25, but he was at the 650. I knew he was going to sign it. And when I heard that the son was really shocked, I was pretty sure I had him in then. But even then, he hemmed a little bit, and I said, "Look, again, I said I'm going out on a limb. I'm not even calling the office." I said, "But this price tomorrow will be 600." So he agreed, and I had told him during that like 10 minutes back and forth that I would eliminate the sons. Like if the sons buy it, he could back out.
hmm
So I wrote that as an additional.
so that's a huge thing right there. Like for anybody that gets these objections that are just, they'll give you these weird objections. I mean, I need to talk to XYZ. I need to do this. I need to do that. Write that right into the contract. Great. So is this the only thing that's stopping you from signing right now? Yes. Okay. Putting in the contract.
Right.
So, I mean, in this case, I mean, will the sons end up buying the property? I mean, why would
Highly
they?
unlikely.
Why would they anyways, though? What are they going to do with it?
Well, they're not. One of them, so he told me one son is either a pharmacist or works at a pharmacy, like pharmacy assistant.
Mhm.
The other guy, I don't know what he does. Because I asked him, are they in construction? Is this what they do? And they don't.
Right. So what would be the benefit of them even buying this house?
Well, they probably thought they were going to renovate it and flip it. But again, they, like most people, and I explained to him, I said, people, if everybody could do this, everybody would do it. Your regular person can't get the funding, doesn't have the expertise, cannot do it. You're going to be months and months into it, hundreds of thousands of dollars of renovation. I said, if they're not in the trades, so they don't have those skills, who's going to back them on the loan in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, the money's one thing, but I mean, even just getting a condo conversion done, I mean, even for somebody who flips single family homes, that's a huge step on the construction ladder, because doing a single family home, maybe you can go in there, you can paint it, carpet it, make it, small things. Like this is like a year-long project for a condo.
This is a full-scale reno.
Yeah.
So he kind of knew. I think he understood that really, and so he signed, and I wrote that in that, and I added, even though it says the exception is if the sons buy it, but I didn't just say if they buy it. I wrote in the exception, if they enter into a purchase and sale by a certain date with proof of funds.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't want them, the sons could sign a purchase and sale and then assign that out later on to somebody else or whatever,
Yeah.
So I wanted to make it a little more detailed and put a time frame on it. And I put it to January 15th. So they essentially have a month to do something.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
98% sure that's not going to happen. And he is too. And when so last night I brought him the deposit check and got the lead form signed and the agency disclosure. And I talked to him further about it, and he was talking about construction loans. So he has an idea. And he said, he knew that they can only get a construction loan if they have their own money to start with. And so we just had that conversation. Like, regular people don't flip 3-family houses. If they want to be in that, you start with a small house. You have a little bit of money. Then, you graduate up 10 years down the road.
Yeah. I mean, like it would, if they wanted to get into this business, it would make more sense to them to sell that one and to do something else. I mean,
use that money to buy a single or.
Yeah, like it would actually be a big mistake for them. I mean, if they said to me, how do I make the most amount of money right now in real estate? I would say sell this one and then do something else with that money. But obviously they don't really want to do that. They're probably just looking at it like, can I make more money somehow on this particular property? But having said all that, they're going to do that. They're going to get in, it's going to take us a year to do the condo conversion. Maybe it takes them a year and a half. By that time, the market might be down and they may end up losing money.
And this guy, too, it's not just, he actually has 5 children, too.
Okay.
So,
oh, yeah. So then they'd have to work it out with the other people, too.
I don't really, and so the 3rd floor, by the way, the daughter lives on the 3rd floor and she's got to move out.
Yep.
So last night when I dropped the deposit off and had the other documents signed, he said to me, well, what if my daughter doesn't move out? Then it just doesn't, we don't do it. And I said, no, we just extend and we will wait. So
Yeah.
it's set for February. I think if I had said we want to close first week of January, he probably would have said yes. I kind of gave him that latitude. I said, "It's your daughter. You want to give her a little time," but I already knew that he really didn't. I don't think she's paying. This obviously, it's not a happy issue at some level with the daughter living up there because we didn't even go in on her floor.
Yeah.
So it may end up extended based upon that at some point anyway.
Well, we've got our 11 o'clock role playing. So thank you everybody for coming on. I know Eric and Tony just sat there like mutes. So you guys probably learned a lot, but next week
It's because you muted me.
What?
It's because you muted me.
You're live.
I just unmuted myself.
Yeah. So you guys, I'll give you guys some more airtime next week. Don't feel bad about not being able to jump on. And thank you, Kathleen, for jumping on. I know this was the first one before ever hopped on, and thank you again. I'll see you guys next week.
I had a lot of takeaways, so thank you for Barbara. And
yeah. I actually want to, for Eric, for you, I want to talk about like how that East Boston appointment compared to the one in Walpole, and we can talk about that right now.
All right.
Thanks.
Right now on the call?
No, like
Just kidding.
right now in the sales meeting. I'll meet you down there.
I know.
All right.
I'll see you.
Bye.